Okay, we're slowly moving up to solving polynomials where the power is bigger than 2. Because if it's 2, you complete square quadratic formula. So today we're given a polynomial, but they give us a hint. Now there's a rule that says if x minus r is a factor, the only way that can be true is if r is an answer, or a root, or a 0. So answer, root, and 0 are all called the same thing, or all the same thing. So if I can find an answer, I can factor this up. Well, they actually give us a factor, so I know I can break this up in x minus 1 times something, because x minus 1 is a factor. We're told that. Now, if we're not told that, we'll work on that Monday. So, if negative 1 is a factor, then 1, the opposite, r, x minus r, is an answer. So I can use synthetic substitution to break this thing up. So it'd be 1, negative 3, 4, negative 2. So I know 1 is the number we're putting in to get an answer, because x minus 1 is a factor, so the opposite of this has to be an answer. So this would be x equals 1, because x minus 1 equals 0. Whenever you have a product equal to 0, each factor of the product is set each equal to 0 and solve. So here we go. Bring down, multiply, add. That's negative 2. That's 2. That is 2. So that is 0. Oh, the remainder is 0, meaning that this times this has to equal this. Remainder is 0, so we're not adding anything to get this. So this would be x squared minus 2x plus 2. So therefore, x squared minus 2x plus 2 has to be an answer. And the highest power is 2, so we could either do factoring if possible, but that's not factorable. Completing the square quadratic formula. I'm going to do completing the square. So I'm going to subtract the 2. Kind of got a mess going over here. Sorry about that. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Factor, this would be x minus 1 squared equals negative 1. So x minus 1 equals plus or minus I when I square root both sides. So therefore x equals 1 plus or minus I. So 1 plus I, 1 minus I, and the 1. So now this one you should know how to do, to be honest, because you should know how to factor sum of cubes. But let's say, oh no, I have forgotten how to factor. Well, here it says x plus 1 is a hint. You're given that, or is a factor. Hint, it's a factor. So I know this breaks up to x plus 1 times something equals 0. So therefore, product equals 0. So x equals negative 1. Now you should be able to say first, write it without the cubes, then square the first term, opposite sign, product of the two, add the square. But let's say you totally forgot that. Oh my goodness, I forgot it. I've been watching Star Trek. So what I'm going to do is using negative 1, I'm going to do synthetic substitution to break this thing up. So it'd be 1. 0 for x squared, 0 for x, and then 1. So bring down to 1, that's negative 1. Add, that's negative 1. Multiply, that's 1. Add, that's 1. That'd be negative 1. That's 0. Oh, the remainder is 0. So that means this times this has to equal this. And what is this? X squared minus x plus 1. Square the first term, opposite sign, product of the two, add the square. Now this I would use quadratic formula, x squared minus x plus 1 equals 0, because this is odd, so it's just easier. So negative b, that'd be 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it'd be 1 plus or minus. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Pop my I out. Square root of 3 all over 2. So, hey, kids. This is a problem. I give you a little hint here. X minus 2 is a factor. So we know that this breaks up to x minus 2 times something. Don't know what that something is yet. And I also know that one of my answers is 2. So go ahead. Have fun there, my pipes. Okay, so 2, I'm going to do synthetic substitution. 1, because x squared's missing, minus 5x plus 2. Oops, I don't know why I put the plus 2. You're getting a little happier. Don't know why I put the x. Let's do this over. Sorry about that. 2, 1, 0, negative 5, 2. So bring down, multiply, add. Bam! Bring down, multiply, add. Bam! Oh, looky here. That must have been a factor because the remainder is 0. So I know this breaks up into constant x coefficient x squared. So it'd be, x squared plus 2x minus 1. So x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. So I'm going to complete the square. So x squared plus 2x equals 1. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1, so add 1 to both sides. So factor x plus 1 squared equals 2. So x plus 1 equals plus or minus square root of 2. So x equals a negative 1 plus or minus square root of 2. Now tomorrow, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, we're going to work on how do you find the possible choices if you're not given a hint. But for today, you're given a hint. Now, there's only 3 problems I want you to try. That's page 355, 17, 19, 21. And they don't tell you, they give you a polynomial, comma, then the factor. So that's the hint. That's a factor. So don't let that confuse you. Just try your best. Hey, have fun. Jesus loves you. This I know.